Greetings and welcome to the Biz Info Zone show. My name is V. Lynn Hawkins. I'm your host, and you are here because you are a savvy social entrepreneur who wants to know more about how to express your purpose, plan your next moves, and take your business and life into prosperity. So today we've got a special broadcast, and I just want to get right to it. I don't want to waste any time because my guest today has some great information for you. Not only is it great information, but it's usable, it's applicable. You can actually go away from today's session and apply some of this stuff and be a notch or two better than you were. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and tell you, we are today working in the mindset and strategy category of the Biz Info Zone show. You know, the Biz Info Zone show is a part of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, and that's why I'm calling you savvy social entrepreneurs, because if you've got a heart and you're heart-centered, you're doing purpose-driven work, meaning you've got a bigger end game than most, then you are in the right place. And in our special broadcast today, our guest, Virginia Parsons, who's known as the Hangout Mentor, is going to be sharing with you her 6-part formula to creating high-value Google Hangouts on Air. And this is something that's as much for the novice as it is for the experienced Google Hangout on Air user, because you'll be able to ask your questions right here, right now. Now, I sent this out to all of my additional friends and contacts who are not just entrepreneurs, but who are coaches and speakers and authors and trainers, because if you're still using webinars, you're part of the successfully two-dimensional theme. And if you're using teleconferencing, you're really, honestly, this might seem hard to accept, but you're really about to get left behind. And why? Because now creating interactive live events that are not just high value in course content, in training content, but in overall delivery content, you've put yourself on the leading edge of what reaches more to teach more. And that's our goal. So I'm so glad that you're here joining us today, hanging out with the pros like a pro. And, you know, I want to just take a minute and give you some key information about our guest today. Not only is she called the Hangout Mentor, but she saw where Google was headed and jumped on helping them to transition from the new kid on the block to something that all of us really should be playing in right now. She's a certified coach, and she's someone who's been on a journey through hypno-coaching, I think is what she calls it, and helping entrepreneurs for over 25 years now. And in doing so, she has already stepped up and been a change maker, a difference maker, and on the leading edge of what gets entrepreneurs to not just step up to the next level, but a couple of levels up. Because I know the value of hypnosis, self-hypnosis, and I do a lot of that work with my own clients, but to have done it for the last 25 years and brought some of those tools and techniques to teaching as the Hangout Mentor, I want to introduce you to our guest today, the one and the only Virginia Parsons. Hi, Virginia.
Hello, Lynn, and welcome to the audience. It's great to be here, and I appreciate the fact that we could pull this off, and that is the beauty of Hangouts, that you can put a show together just like that and get it on the air. So it's great to be here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for being here. I know, like you said, we pulled this together in a matter of, what, a day? And I'm just so grateful to you for that, because it does speak to the value of Hangouts. you can get on a Hangout and you can do a training, you can do a coaching session, and you can be right there one-on-one with the person that you're talking to, or you can do this one-to-many. Now, that aside, I would love for you to tell our audience just a little bit about your journey, beyond what I could tell them from what I remembered in your bio, and just share with us what brought you to the space of now sharing and teaching entrepreneurs as the Hangout Mentor.
Well, I'd love to. It's an interesting journey. One of the things that I've learned is to be open to the flow, Lynn. Because when you're open to the flow, you can embrace things as they come along. I was a coach and continue to be a coach for 25 years, as you said, using predominantly hypnotherapy in my coaching because I started out actually in health and fitness and managed a lot of corporate fitness centers. And what happened was people were coming to me saying, well, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I have so much trouble sticking to it. And so having been practicing yoga for many years and a long-term meditator, I knew that the mind was the key to allowing them to make the shifts that they wanted to make, but kept sabotaging themselves with old belief systems and old patterns and behaviors. So I really took up hypnotherapy many, many years ago, 25 years ago, with a passion because I found that it really helped people make the changes they wanted and stick with those changes. So initially I was doing trance with people in the locker room and using the lockers slamming to deepen their trance, all to help them just make the changes that they really wanted to make but just kept struggling with. So that's how I embraced hypnotherapy. I did that for many, many years, loved the work. It's totally transformative work. Went on to do more broad business coaching and applying the same techniques because so much of what interferes with our success is fear-based, old patterns, old ways of thinking that absolutely sabotage success. So the same use of hypnosis that I applied in health and fitness, I just transferred over to business coaching. Well, then I discovered that people wanted to work with me from quite a distance. I had people driving 3 and 4 hours to meet with me, which was, wonderful compliment to my ego, but it wasn't the best use of people's time. So I started to explore, doing Skype meetings and also some work on the phone. But the problem in working on the phone, of course, was that I couldn't see the people I was working with. And a lot of the things that I do in hypnosis really, I need to see that individual. I need to see their body movements, listen to their breathing patterns. There's a lot of subconsciously driven behaviors that are visible through watching. So by doing this over the phone, I was limited. So Skype was the next way to explore working with people at a distance so they didn't have to drive a long way. And then I started to have clients across the country. Well, when Hangouts came along, I said, I need to really look at this technology because it's a way for me to do the work I love to do with people without people having to drive a long distance. Also, people, who I normally couldn't have seen in my business because of the distance factor suddenly became available to me as clients. So it was a win-win experience. Now, I have to tell you, Hangouts in the beginning was a little tricky. Some of you who know and been working with Hangouts for a while know that it's a new technology, so it can be tricky. But as it's become more mature itself, the new kid on the block is growing up. Hangouts really have become a great way to interface with people across the globe, literally. And so now, instead of having clients in Reno, Nevada, where I live, I have clients around the world.
I love it, and that's been my experience too with Hangouts coming available. Even with the fact that when I started, it was still kind of tricky, and you didn't know if you were going to have a successful show, much less the connection and all of these other little intricacies, and maneuvering in the Hangout. And now with people like you, I've been able to learn a lot more and thus be more proficient in my use of Google Hangouts. But you're taking us to a whole nother level today. And while I say that, I want to make sure that our audience knows that what we're going to be talking about is something that will benefit not only the novice, but the experts as well. And the thing about it is that now it's so much easier than it was a year ago to use Google Hangouts on Air and Google Hangouts alone. So what makes a Google Hangout on Air, in your estimation, the place where people want to go and play and do their work and share their messages at this point in time?
Well, to me, what was the real key factor was engagement. And I'm sure many people who have been on Hangouts, watched them, or participated in them, understand the value of engagement. So if you're wanting to brand and market yourself, the best thing you can do to brand and market yourself is get out there, is to be in front of people where they feel like they can have a connection with you. The challenge with teleseminars and webinars is that they get a piece of you, but they don't get you. The people don't feel like they necessarily know you so well because they're either listening to a voice on a teleseminar. And you know, by the way, the reason teleseminars became so popular for so long was that they were easy. It was easy for the participant to get on the teleseminar and take part in it. That's why they were so popular. And then with webinars, they were the next best step, but it wasn't a good medium for the visual connection. So generally with a webinar, you have people seeing some type of a presentation. Now, I use a webinar style in my Hangouts, but it's in combination with the visual. My sense of what makes Hangouts so powerful today and really puts you on an even playing field with all the big boys and girls that are out there and already established in their business is that you can get yourself out there, get known, get noticed, and establish yourself as an expert and an authority in your field simply because you're doing live broadcasts. So as people are drawn to you and what you have to offer, of course, what you're doing on a Hangout must provide value to your audience. But in addition to providing value, you're providing you. They're getting a sense of who you are and whether or not they feel like they can relate to you and feel comfortable with you. And bottom line, people like to hang out with people they know, trust, and love and feel a connection with. So I'm going to go back to my first point, and that is relationships and engagement is what Hangouts is all about.
I love it. And you know, Virginia, you and I have talked about some of the ways that people are using Google Hangouts today, and we both agree that this is one of the best ways to not just establish and nurture the relationships that you have, that you will be forming, but this is also a great way to create courses and trainings and have coaching sessions that you can record in a format that you can either take pieces of them or use the entire thing to put up as a course. You can take pieces of your Google Hangout recording and use them for marketing promotions, and that's just, you know, some of the benefits of access. And take a minute to tell us, give us your take on why this is so great for speakers and trainers and coaches and authors.
Well, again, I'm going to start back with engagement, relationship building, and now think of it from a speaker standpoint. You know, what we just did, we just put this Hangout out there because we were talking and saying, well, this would be fun, let's do it, right? Mm-hmm. So we set it up. You can do it instantaneously. You don't even need to wait a day. You can decide, let's do a Hangout, and off you go. So you can speak to the Hangout all by yourself, actually. It gets recorded, and now you can, as you said, leverage that information and send it out to people. You can take the information and do it live and have whoever can join you live, and then you get the engagement from the live audience. And the live audience, I'm going to encourage people today, please leave questions in the comments section for us, because we love to answer your questions as they come along. And I know questions come up right in the middle of conversation. So that's another way to get people engaged. So for speakers and coaches and even authors, you can use a Hangout to create a whole book or an ebook. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be offering everyone a free ebook at the end of the show. So that all came from creating Hangouts. There's just so many ways to use them.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love it. And you know, I really have to say that I've been one who's attempted to stay abreast of all the cutting edge technology. And while I haven't been the most proficient, I have been in the circles where I've gotten the help that I needed so that I could do more and reach more, because that's what it's really all about. And I know that what you want to bring to our audience today, it actually is that kind of information. And you're calling it your 6-step get-her-done formula for creating high value. And you know, think about this course concept in just the concept of content. And in content, I know you mentioned it already, there's so many ways to leverage content with repurposing. So tell us about your 6 steps. What are they?
Well, I call it my 6-step get-her-done formula. And I'm going to take a moment before we go into those 6 steps to provide people with a little background on Hangouts and Google+, because I feel like, you know, most people watching today get it. They get Google+, and they probably get Hangouts. Hooray for you if you do, because you're on the cutting edge. You're catching the wave, and I think that's really important. But part of my passion, the whole reason I wanted to get this material out there, is because there's so many people who don't get it yet. They don't get Google+, and they don't get Hangouts. They may have seen a Hangout. If they're lucky, they might have participated in one. But, you know, I was just looking at statistics not that long ago, and do you know that only 22% of the participants in Google+ are women? So there is this whole demographic of women, and you know, my market is entrepreneurial business women. I do a whole show around that, which you're aware of, called the Inspirational Businesswoman Show.
I have to say, while you're there, I have to give you a big plug for that show. It not only speaks to the inspirational side of women, but it also brings in the entrepreneurial side, and merging the two is truly the complete woman. So I just want to say kudos to you for having such a great show.
Oh, thank you. Here's the thing. Women are engagers naturally. You know, we connect. We also naturally uplift, and that's not to, you know, negate the value of men. I love men, but I want women to take advantage of this technology because it's the best way to get their message out there and get known and connect with their potential audience and really become what I call an authority and a social authority in their field, where they really can gain a whole list of loyal followers. And that's the whole advantage of using Google Plus and Hangouts On Air. Now, of course, Hangouts On Air can be used in many different venues. And so what I thought I'd go through is a little bit of the benefits and challenges and the options for course creation before I give you those 6 steps. Will that be all right with you, Lynn? That'd
be great.
All right, I'm going to move over to another screen. And by the way, for those of you who are wondering what I'm doing here, I've got a green screen in my background. You don't need to do that. I'm fancy because I'm having fun with the technology, but what I teach is very simple. You don't have to do all this fancy stuff, and you can still create a wonderful and very professional Hangout experience for your guests. But here I just want to talk for a minute about what are Hangouts and Google Plus, the benefits, challenges, and options for course creation, because the 6-step formula that I do is all around creating high-value courses using this wonderful technology, Hangouts On Air. So let's talk for a moment about the benefits. I think I've already drummed home engagement, but you also know the power of SEO ranking. So if the show that you're doing, you want to get out there and get noticed, there's no better way. You've got the mama, which is Google, and you've got the baby, which is Google Plus, and the newest baby in the block, Hangouts On Air, all working. Oh, by the way, and Google owns YouTube. So since a Hangout automatically gets uploaded to YouTube, in its completion, you've got the best formula for quickly ranking your information. And I found that to be true on both my shows. I started with the Savvy Shopper show last year, had so much fun helping people learn how to make great buys on the internet. That show ranked within 4 weeks right onto the top page for Savvy Shopper show, and same thing right away with Inspirational Businesswomen show. So, you know, you want to use this for the benefits of ranking. Anything you do with Facebook or Twitter, Google doesn't pay attention to those for ranking purposes. Again, multi-purpose, we've already talked about all the different ways that you can use it, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Multimedia, you're seeing an example of multimedia here, but you could also add video to the platform, screen sharing, you can add surveys, Google Documents, images. There's so many different ways you can use Hangouts with multimedia. I don't know any other platform that does that for you. I already mentioned the global audience reach. This is phenomenal. When you go from being a local gal doing business in one town and suddenly you're reachable around the world and people can connect with you around the world. You know, when I was doing a program with Alex Mendocian this past year and we were doing a membership site, I started to connect with people from Poland, from Italy, from Spain, from South Africa, from New Zealand, from Australia, all around the world because of this platform. I never would have done that without using Hangouts. Live and replay options, we just talked about. Live, but some people can't make it when you schedule it. So it's so wonderful because now you can just go back and watch it at your leisure. Or if you saw it live and there was something you wanted to go back and just revisit to make sure you got the concept, it's right there available for a replay. Automatic recording, which, what's easier than that? All you have to do is push the start broadcast button and you're on live and it's recording all at the same time. This is so much easier than webinars, in my opinion. Automatic reminders to your audience so that they don't forget. You want to have that tickle going on and say, hey, come on, make sure you make the show. No attendee limits, like webinars, which can be limited and costly, by the way, because our technology through Google is free to everybody, but no attendee limits. Free technology, as I just said, and you can create private members communities, which I love, for interaction and exchanging of ideas through Google+. And then you have the privacy controls. So if you're doing something like a coaching session with an individual or even a small group, you can go ahead and make it private only to that group. No one else then is going to be able to see that Hangout, but it still gets recorded so that your group or your individual can go back and revisit the material. So aren't these amazing benefits, Lynn?
I love them. Totally love them.
And you know, sometimes we just get comfortable with technology and forget about all that it provides. And so I thought I'd take a moment to just say, you can use this even without a website. Do you know there's a lot of people who are very successful in their business that don't even have a website? They use their page on Google+ and they use Hangouts, and you know that's what they're using. So no website necessary.
It's amazing because it truly is about the strategy. Having the strategy, how am I going to do this? Where do I want to go? And then back up from there to determine how it is you can do that. Seeing the advantages of Google+, Google Hangouts On Air, Google Drive, all that Google actually provides us, including the fact that with Skype, you had mentioned earlier about Skype, using Skype, you can't get the same kind of ranking and SEO benefits from using Skype that you get from using Google Hangouts On Air.
You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. So, as I say, my passion is get the word out. I mean, I really want more women and men to start using this technology. They deserve to have the same benefits as all the other people using it, and now they can compete with the big people on the block. So, now there are a few challenges. Of course there are. Like any new technology, there's a learning curve. I put together a whole course on this called my Hangout Mentor Fast Start program, which helps people fly through the learning curve and feel comfortable with it. The nice thing about Hangouts, by the way, is you can do one with yourself and no one else has to watch it. You can practice getting comfortable with the camera. It's automatically going to be recorded to your YouTube channel, but since you've made it private or unlisted, no one else has to see it. You can go in and take a look at yourself, how you're doing, whether or not you're looking at that camera, how comfortable you look and feel. And if you don't like it, delete it and go do it again.
I love that part.
I deleted a lot in the beginning, and oh my gosh, the first few times I did it live and I actually had an audience, my heart was beating and I'm thinking, oh my God, what if it doesn't work? Well, it's okay. You just go out and do it again and people will understand. So the learning curve is an issue, but it's not a big issue. It's only an issue in your mind, quite frankly. Because it's new technology, Google's continuing to improve it. Now, last year, as I was working through this, I saw the technology changes coming every week. It was a little mind-boggling, but they have really settled down now. It's pretty consistent, really pretty stable, and the improvements they're coming out with, great. I love them. Keep bringing them to us, Google. Not costing me a penny to use all these new tools and applications they're providing. But with new technology, yes, sometimes things get a little glitchy. Well, that's free technology. I'm not going to give it much concern. Bandwidth speed can be an issue. So if you are on a slow bandwidth, I tell people really you need at least 3 Mbps's, and that's megabytes per second in upload and download speeds, to have a stable Hangout. If you have less than that, it's not to say you can't do a Hangout, but it might fade in and out. I did some Hangout training when I was on vacation up in Lake Tahoe. It was a wireless connection and it wasn't the best. And yeah, we broke up a little bit. So that's the importance of checking your bandwidth speed and making adjustments with the bandwidth tool in the Hangout if you need to. Preferably you want to have this in a hardwired capacity. You really want to hardwire your computer to your router using, you know, a Ethernet cable. That's going to give you the most secure bandwidth speed, the highest that you can get, much better than wireless. But wireless will work. You want to make sure you have enough available memory on your computer. If your computer is limited on its RAM, its random access memory, then you probably want to shut every window down on your computer except what you're using for the Hangout. So close out your emails, close out any other operating programs in the background, and just keep open the programs that you're going to use for the Hangout, and that will free up some of your RAM. And then the final one is fear of the camera, not feeling comfortable in front of the camera. But what I want to say to you is people like to relate to people who are real and authentic. So just be yourself in front of the camera. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to stumble with your words a little bit. Just be who you are, and connecting with the camera will get easier and easier for you. I sort of think of the camera as my friend and my window to my audience. So when I'm looking at the camera, which I am doing right now, I'm looking through to my audience, and I'm making that mental connection with my audience that I am so glad you're here. It's great to be able to connect with you. It's great to be able to share this information, and the camera can become your best friend. Again, it's all about mindset. All right, so a couple options that you might want to think about for course creation, and then I'll go into the formula. Up until now, any questions, Lynn? Do you see any comments in the comment box?
I don't see any yet. I do see that a lot of people have acknowledged they're coming back to check out the replay. So
love that.
Good.
That's the beauty of Hangouts.
Yeah.
They're available for the replay. Well, let's go on and talk a little bit about what you can do with Hangouts to create a high-value course. There are several styles that you can use. There's the Web On Air style, I call it, which is basically presenting as you would in a webinar, only doing it live using Google Hangouts and using screen share or some form of a PowerPoint. There's doing it live with audience participation. Now, the audience participation can be done through comments. It can also be done through what we call a comment tracker, which is another tool for Hangouts. But the key is that you're presenting live material and the audience is asking questions, and a lot of the material you're getting is because the audience have questions that they want answered. So that creates more content for you. Then you've got the pre-recorded. Remember I said that you can pre-record using a live Hangout. So it could just be you going into the program, starting the Hangout on Air, and the only one you invite is you. You start the broadcast, and you would create the pre-recorded content. Then you bring it into a live Hangout with your audience, and they then provide the Q&A questioning after you've presented the recording. Now, this is not a bad way to go for someone who's brand new and not really comfortable yet with the technology, because you can do the pre-recorded material, numerous times until you get it in a way that you feel comfortable with it. So do a recording, delete it if you don't like it, do another recording, delete it, and finally when you've got one you like, use that one as a pre-recorded training and then have the live Q&A to go along with it. The interview style is something I use, of course, all the time in my Inspirational Businesswomen show. We do the interview. We have hot topics and strategies that our audience can learn from and apply in their own business. And we then do what we call an after show. And the after show is where people can come inside the Hangout and ask questions directly to the person that I've been interviewing. So that's kind of special. When you do a Q&A with an after show format, you also could set this up as a higher ticket item. Only those people who pay the higher price get to come inside the Hangout and directly talk to the person you're interviewing. So the other people would be maybe the standard level, and then the upgraded would be those people who want to come inside the Hangout and relate directly to the interviewee. Workshop style with workbook is, anything that you can do in person, you really can do in a Hangout. So you can create a workbook that's downloadable in a PDF format for your audience, and then create a workshop around that workbook. Now the workshop you can do an hour workshop, or you can do a 3-hour workshop or an 8-hour workshop, because Hangouts can be recorded nonstop for up to 8 hours. You can do a demonstration style. Let's say that you have a product that you want to demonstrate so that people can understand how it works. Or perhaps you have a program, a computer program that you're offering. You want to have it demonstrated for people. That's another way of doing a course. Seminar style, not that different than a workshop, but a seminar is more accompanied a lecture with the ability for them to then receive the audio MP3. So you can take the recording from the Hangout, create an MP3 with it. You could even put it into a blog cast if you wanted to. So a seminar style is another option. And then this one I love. It's called the boot camp intensive style. And with the boot camp, it is about what I talk about, get her done. Let's get in here and together let's get this work done. And this could well be a 3-hour boot camp, an all-day boot, 8-hour boot camp with breaks in between. But the boot camp style is really helpful to people to get the material and master it and apply it in their life. And then the final idea is a done with you. And this is a step-by-step module style that might take place over a period of weeks or days. And again, you're doing it with them, helping them take the steps one at a time. So I'm going to pause here for a second and see if you've got any questions, Lynn, yourself, or any of the audience does.
Well, I always talk about there's 3 ways to do anything. And one is DIY, do it yourself. The other is DYH, I call it, do it with help. And the other one is you can pay somebody to do it for you. Something like course creation and content creation is something that you can farm out to a third party. However, you always want to have you as a piece of that. So somewhere in there you either want to do it with help or do it yourself. And do it yourself really means that you put in all of the time and the effort yourself to come up the learning curve and make the mistakes, when actually there are so many great ways to do it with help. And I just love that kind of delivery. And most of my courses are do it with help or do it with you style, as you called it. And then I do a lot of the boot camp stuff too. And it just depends on who your audience is, how you want to connect with them to deliver your great content. And I think each one of these has its major benefits. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, the idea is to pique people's ideas so that they start to think about what are all the different ways that content can be delivered. You know, you already know your niche. You are the expert in your field. So you need to think about, well, what resonates best with me about how to get this out there? And quite frankly, if you've already been teaching some form of course interaction with your audience, it's just that you're adding the Hangout element to it to deliver it. So it doesn't mean that when you're done delivering it, you cannot then leverage it again. You can take it from the live aspect and leverage it one more time, which is part of my 6-step get her done formula. That's leveraging the content that you create.
I love
would you like to go into that?
I want to hear more about that, yes.
Okay. Here we go. Well, I'm going to skip through that one right now. Okay. 6-step get her done formula for Hangout On Air course creation made easy. So, you know, I think about so many people buy courses, don't they, Lynn?
They do.
And put them on the shelf. It drives me crazy. And I have to admit, I've done it too.
I think we've all done our share.
What a waste of your hard-earned money, and what a waste of the potential that you could have if you just applied the material. So my whole process is, let's get it done. So I came up with this get her done formula, which is step 1, get ready. Step 2, get set. Step 3, get noticed. Step 4, get live. Step 5, get optimized. And step 6, get leveraged. Now these steps are all based around using Hangouts On Air as your vehicle, as your delivery mechanism of the course. So keep that in the back of your mind, that this all surrounds using Hangouts, this remarkable free technology that you just have to get familiar with and start using. So that's all part of the whole overall let's get her done. So in Get Ready, really what it is what I call it is a Hangout On Air boot camp. The whole idea is you need to learn how to use this technology efficiently. So to give you an example, when I started using Hangouts On Air, I felt what I would call consciously incompetent. I knew I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And on top of that, the technology was still changing so often that I knew I didn't know what they just changed, so I felt even more incompetent. Fortunately, as I say, it's much more stable technology than it was when I started, gosh, about a year and a half ago now. So the boot camp is designed to get you into the technology and get it in the background. So you want to move from a state of feeling consciously incompetent to that by the time you've done several Hangouts, you start to feel a little more unconsciously competent. In other words, you're not getting hung up by the technology. It's there as a great tool. It is no different than, you know, someone who's in the fine carpentry business learning how to use the best tools to create the most beautiful end product. It's about using the tools by practicing. So that's the first part. It's a boot camp on tips and strategies so that you can hang out like a pro and let the technology become easy, comfortable, and natural. Then the second step is get set. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, once you feel comfortable with the technology and you know all that it can do, because it does have several tools attached to it, which was a slide I skipped over just for time, but you want to learn how to use the tools that Google offers you. They're all free. There are a few additional tools you might pay a little bit of money for, and they're very valuable and helpful as well, but in the beginning, start using all the free technology. So once you know what those tools are through the boot camp, the idea is now you can start to plan your course material. Now you can start to think about the delivery options that are available to you. In that slide that I did previously where we talked about all the different delivery styles that you could use for your course. So this is the phase where you plan it, you prepare it, and you get set to deliver it. Now, most people think, okay, well, let's go, let's deliver it. But the next step is actually getting noticed. For instance, you might have a wonderful following and a great email list. Terrific. You want them to know what you're doing. You want to get them, you want to invite them to come to a preview training on a Hangout. So instead of all these other delivery methods that you see out there, which I'm not putting them down, I'm just saying you're going to get noticed even more so if you deliver a preview of what you're going to teach via a Hangout. So number one, again, the SEO factor is going to be available to you, and you're also going to be able to bring in maybe a new audience through Google+, through some of your connections there and through the connections of your connections, or those people that are following you and their followers. You don't have that on Facebook, but in Google+, through the circles and the people that you start following, those people have circles, and you can get the word out to a large, broad audience. And that's what it's all about, is attracting more people to know about you, what your expertise is. And so once you get noticed, then it's time to get live. But first, spend some time getting noticed, getting the word out about who you are, delivering some good and valuable free content to your potential new audience. So it's about growing your audience on all the different social media networks, in addition to, of course, your current list. So step 4, get live. Now, up until step 4, I already expect you to be getting live with some practice, some hangouts with yourself, getting comfortable with the technology, and then doing some previews, some preview shows. Maybe in the beginning it'll just be to a few of your best friends, and then after that you'll open it up to a wider audience. But once you get live, you're actually delivering your content. Now, this is your paid content. This is a course that you've put together. You've already determined how you're going to deliver it. You've already gotten some exposure and gotten noticed. And so now it's about get live with your course in whatever delivery style you've chosen. And during this, you really do want to have some pre, during, and post checklists. That'll take some of the guesswork out of it. I know when I started doing Hangouts, I had a checklist for just getting on the broadcast. You know, close this window down, open this up, arrange this, shrink the Hangout down so I'm looking at the camera, all some of these little techniques that I teach. And once I had that checklist down, of course, again, as I became more unconsciously competent and comfortable with the technology, I didn't have to refer to that checklist. But in the beginning, it's nice to have a checklist, isn't it, Lynn?
Yes, it is. You're in the cockpit. Why not go through your checklist and make sure that you've turned all the buttons on or off that's necessary for you to have a safe flight?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a pre-flight, mid-flight, and post checklist.
Exactly.
Okay, so then you've done your content. How about optimizing your content? That is the 5th step, get optimized. Well, the reason you want to optimize your content is not necessarily for the people you're delivering it to right now. They've paid for it. But for potential future use of the content. So you do want to go in and optimize it by editing the course, making it even better. I do a lot of optimization through using a video editing software. I happen to use Camtasia because I use a PC, but I know there's great video editing software for Macs as well. Optimize it, make it even clearer for people so that they can benefit by that. Now, you can provide that optimized material for the people who have taken part in your course because they've already paid for it. But you also can use it to create an even better course or an evergreen course that you can then resell. So that gets into getting leveraged. That's the beauty of Hangouts. You do it once and you have material that you can use over and over again in a multitude of ways. So you can pick out bits and pieces of that material that you want to maybe take a video clip that's, you know, a minute to a minute and a half long. And it's just on one little tip. And you can take that piece out and upload that to YouTube, optimize it once again, and provide that content to the masses to again help people get to know more about you, to trust you more, like you, and to want to be part of your following. So the leveraging part is a way to really increase your profitability on the work that you've already done. Remember, you can also take some of that information from the Hangout and you can have it transcribed, or you can turn it into an audio podcast. I mean, there's just unlimited ways that you can use the material you create once in a multitude of ways. So that is my 6-step get her done formula, Lynn.
I love it. I love it. And I just want to make sure that people heard two very important things. One is, if you're doing a Google Hangout on Air, you have the ability to pull out your audio. You don't have to re-record to get anything in audio format. You can actually download the audio separately. And you can also use what Virginia talked about, a video editing tool. She uses Camtasia for PC, but Camtasia is also available for use for the Mac. There's some other really great video editing tools. You can go from free to costly, but these are the things that you want to have access to, that kind of information, to make this happen more easily for yourself. And those two things were really key for me when I started thinking about, okay, now how can I turn some of this stuff into other things, the repurposing and leveraging. And those two things, downloading the audio separately and using a video editor, there's a slight one in YouTube that's available to you, but you need something more if you want to carve out your 1 to 2 minutes, or have a little piece of something that's a little longer, maybe 5 or 7 minutes. And those are huge when it comes down to repurposing audio content and video content.
Well, one of the other things I like in optimizing is to make something clearer for someone. It's great to be able to zoom in on something you're demonstrating. It's great to be able to add, a notation to it. So that's why you want to optimize your material. You can create it, but then by optimizing it, you're just adding more value to what you've created using the Hangout.
And I love that you said that too, because it's worth actually also stating that in YouTube, you can actually go into the video and add annotations. You can add an intro video. You can add an outro video. There are a lot of things that you can do right in YouTube that helps you to not have to think about doing other stuff. And you focus on that piece first, get that mastered, and then you can start thinking about, now, what else can I do? If I want to carve out that 1 minute or whatever, you can go through these things in a progressive manner, which is really something that there's not a lot of that's available to us. You get into the webinars and you're there. This is the box that you're working in.
What you see is what you get.
Yes.
Too much with it.
Yeah. As you're working with something like Google Hangouts On Air, you can start in a pod concept and then increase what it is that you're doing and how it is that you're repurposing information. Also, YouTube actually provides your transcript. That's probably one of the last areas that's getting this attention to more perfection, because the transcripts are good, but they're not as good as some other transcript services or tools. And is there a transcripting tool that you use that you would recommend that's outside of YouTube?
I do. I recommend Dragon Naturally Speaking. The reason I love that, and that's, you can send your transcript out and pay someone else to do it. And you know what? That's probably valuable for a lot of people who are not familiar with transcript software, because your time is valuable and you need to put it in the best place. But what I found with Dragon Naturally Speaking is that I train my voice, which took me all of about 10 minutes to train my voice to the program. So now once that's done, if it is a program that, a Hangout that I've done, for instance, I've done the training for, it's going to recognize my voice, and I can take an hour training and have it transcribed in minutes. And then what I do is just go edit it if it needs a little bit of editing. It will need a little bit, but nothing like using the transcription on YouTube. Now, another thing YouTube offers, by the way, is you can add and enhance your Hangout with audio after it's been recorded. You could put in audio songs. You know, they have
yeah, yeah,
music there that you can put in the background. So there's a lot you can do for no cost whatsoever.
and that's really key too, because you know that's probably one of the biggest areas of contention is how to use music. And what you don't want to do is use music that you need a license for and you don't have a license to use it. That's grounds for a lawsuit quickly. But YouTube has provided some, and some of it's not that bad. I've actually taken a few hours here and an hour or so there and gone through the list, and it's grown. A year ago, they had maybe 50 different things in there. Now there's substantially more, and a lot of it is pretty good. You've got everything from 20 seconds to 3 or 4 minutes, which you know really helps in allowing you the opportunity to use music the way that you would like to.
Always in the background, by the way.
Yes.
And you know, YouTube will catch you if you have something that is not it is not legally licensed to use. They will get you right away. So be careful on that one.
Yeah, they must have some spy bots that roll around looking for that stuff.
Well, it's good. I think it's all good. You need to stay legal.
It is. It is. Oh my, this has been so great, Virginia. You know, as I think about all of the things that our audience could benefit from in, you know, taking a deep dive into this information and how to use Google Plus, how to use Google Hangouts on Air, there's just so much that is there to benefit our niche, my niche, your niche of not just women entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, and you know, if you know someone that this information could benefit, feel free to share this video with them. One of the things that Virginia and I are on a mission to do is to just get the word out that these types of resources are available. And we'd love it if you would help us to do that. Now, Virginia, before I'm looking at the clock and we're getting pretty close to wrapping up, but I'd really love for you to give our audience, if there is one thing that you want to make sure that our audience walks away with that is like icing on the cake, valuable information about doing Hangouts on Air, what would that be?
This may surprise you, but I'm going to say get over yourself. By that I mean it's not about you getting on camera. It's about you delivering value and being authentic and demonstrating to the people in your audience that you really care. So stop worrying about how you look. You know, I'm not saying come on and be scruffy and you know unkempt, but that's not important. Just be yourself. Get over yourself and your ego, and just get out there and deliver your expertise, because there's people out there who need it. They need your help. So stop pausing and holding back out of fear that you won't look good or you won't sound good or you'll stumble. I just stumbled. And just be yourself. Get over yourself and get that information out there.
I love it. That authentic you, that genuine you showing up, being you is key. Thank you for that. Now, I have to say, now I'm recalling that you mentioned you had a gift for our audience. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I do, and I also wanted to let them know about the course coming up. So which would you like me to deliver first?
Well, Why don't you tell people about the gift? But I really do want people to know that there's an opportunity to take this information and jump in at a higher level. And I want Virginia to share that with you as well. You know, the gift is one thing, and we want everyone to be able to have something tangible and useful from spending this time with us. But I want you to know that there's another thing that you can do. And then I want to share with you an opportunity that you may be interested in, especially if you are someone who would like to or already does deliver courses. I'm going to share another opportunity with you as well.
Well, this is an example for you of what I've done using Hangouts on Air. I did a series of 6 Hangouts on Air all about how to strategies that you can use with Google Hangouts to increase your profit. So how to make money using Google Hangouts on Air, the 5 top strategies. This is both in a book form, so I took it, transcribed it, and turned it into an ebook for you, and it's also providing you with a video and a template. So you can take a look at how you can use Hangouts on Air to brand and market your business. So you're getting 3 for the price of free 1. So all you have to do is text the word money, M-O-N-E-Y, to the number 307-269-2040. And it will...
Repeat that number again, please.
That number is 307-269-2040.
Okay.
So when you do that, you'll be able to receive the free ebook, one of the videos, and the template for how to use Hangouts to brand and market your business.
Beautiful. Now tell us about the course.
Well, I'm thrilled to be offering this because, again, my whole intention is to get the word out on how to use Hangouts to brand and market your business. So what I'm introducing is a Hangout Course Creation Made Easy program. And this is going to be teaching you how to create high-value courses using Google Hangouts on Air, even if you've never hung out before. So there's lots of great material for people who are experienced with Hangouts, and there's also great material for those who have never done one before. By the time we're done, you'll be able to do your own Hangout. It's done in a module style. I'm going to provide 6 weekly Hangout on Air trainings live with live coaching and Q&A after the training for all those who are there live. Now, don't worry if you can't make the module training live because, of course, it's recorded and uploaded into the members area. You're going to also receive a complete set of all of the trainings and recordings and the accompanying action guides and checklists. Remember, we talked about how important those checklists are, so you get her done, right? You need the step-by-step checklist. And then I'm going to be sharing and endorsing your course. So once your course is completed, I will get it out there to my audience and let them know what you've created. I'm also going to include these bonuses, a private strategy session with me where we're going to sit down and figure out what is the best delivery method for your course. Remember, we talked about several different ways you could deliver it. We'll talk about what will work best for you. I'm also going to provide a 90-day free membership to my hangoutmentor.com program where you'll be able to learn the Fast Start program. So if you've never had experience with Hangouts, we'll get you up and running fast and you'll feel proficient and enjoy doing Hangouts. And then I'm also going to provide production assistance for you for one of your live Hangouts. We'll have to coordinate the time, but sometimes it's nice to have someone else running the production in the background so you can just do the work. So that itself is a $475 value, and those bonuses all come with the course. Oh, let's go back. So what you're going to get is a 6-module training. It starts tomorrow. So I know for a lot of people that might not be something that you can do, but here's the thing. Even if you miss tomorrow's training, it's going to be recorded, so you can jump on into next week's module and you won't be left behind. So feel free to take advantage of this. It's $297, and that's inclusive of all of the bonuses that I'm providing for you.
Wow. And
Here's where you can register, Lynn. I'll let you take it from there.
okay, thanks. Um, so I have seen a lot of these trainings, and I have to tell you, this training that Virginia is providing is not only worth its weight in gold, it's definitely worth more than $297. And I want you to know that you can find out more information about it by going to skyhawkenterprises.biz /Hangout Mentor HCC. And that's for Hangout Course Creation. So take a look at what she's got available, see what the program is once again, and all of the bonuses, the strategy session and the production. Oh my gosh, if I had had somebody to help me on my first Google Hangout, I probably would not have had the problems that I did.
But you get over your fear a lot faster.
You do. Not to mention the fact that when you are with someone who is your Hangout mentor and you can get the feedback that will help you to know that your delivery was good, your intonation and your presence was exactly what you were hoping for it to be, I mean, that's worth its weight right there. And it takes it out of your hands of being the critic of what it is that you're doing, because I have to tell you, it took me a good little while to finally say, okay, I'm not even going to care anymore, because I know the value of what I'm bringing is more important than, you know, a piece of my hair sticking up or, you know, something like that, which happened a few times. But, you know, it's all about what's the most important thing. And you start there, and that's the delivery. This is your opportunity to take what it is that you've been doing and take it into a platform now where you not only have support in learning how to do this and having the checklists already available to you, but you've got the opportunity to have somebody there who's going to help you in your initial deliveries. So, and then the 30-day money-back guarantee. Did she mention that?
Right there. And it's also on the page, so when you go to that link, you'll see a video. I'm going to go over more details about what you'll be receiving in the course, and of course it's all outlined for you. I want to make sure you know what you're getting, and it is a lot, and I've had a number of people tell me, how can I be doing this for such a low fee? Well, it's because my passion is to get more people using this technology.
Well, and I appreciate you for it. And I've had people ask me if I can take them through this kind of training, and I have to some degree, but I certainly do look at what you've done, look at what you're doing, and highly recommend that anyone who's interested take Virginia up on this offer. You've been in the Biz Info Zone with the Hangout Mentor, and in order to get the 5 top strategies to make money with Google Hangouts, you want to text the word money to 307-269-2640.
2040.
Oh.
Let's fix that.
Yeah.
307-269-2040.
There you go, 2040.
And we can put that into the comment section, Lynn.
Definitely.
As well as putting the registration link in the comment section for people.
I definitely will. I am so, so grateful that you were able to be here to join me today, Virginia. Thank you so much for all that you've brought to our audience today, and I look forward to do more connecting and engaging and uplifting in not only the Biz Info Zone show, but with the Hangout Mentors. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Come back and join us again soon. We've got more. I've got more information for you on some course opportunities. So if you want to deliver this stuff to entrepreneurs and you're like, okay, so what are my options? Udemy and, you know, this maybe Well, I've got a couple of options for you that are opening up, and I just want you to know that stay tuned to the Biz Info Zone show info so that you can find out how you can become a part of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship's faculty, and I may have some other faculty opportunities for you. So thank you all for joining us today. This is V. Lynn Hawkins, your host and the founder of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, a Skyhawk Enterprises company, and the Hangout Mentor, Virginia Parsons. We're here today with you saying thanks for joining us, and bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.